Hey everyone, so I've added some new things onto my Mercier. From time to time, people ask me about my Mercier, so that's why I just started making this cute little intro for you all. So of course, you know I have makeup. I always have makeup. I'm going to add some more fragrances. I need to add some skincare, a couple of things of body care, not a lot. I have some clothes that are brand new from when my son was in elementary school. He got as gifts from birthday parties that he'd never actually worn, for those of you interested who have kids that size. And of course, you all know I recently decluttered my closet, so of course I have a few pieces. I'm probably gonna have to do one again in my house. I did the one for my grandmother's house, but I need to do the one for home. But you can check it out at the end of the video. I don't know about you, but I feel like it's about time we go through these eyeshadow palettes and see if we can get rid of some, because this looks a bit excessive. Don't you think? Let's get into it, girl. I don't know about you, but I feel like it's probably about time we get rid of some eyeshadow, because this is a bit excessive. Okay, y'all, so we're back to another episode of the eyeshadow palette collection. So, I might actually do a couple of declutters in this one, and the next one we'll have to wait and see, because there are some things that I'm like second guessing if I really want to keep or not, even though I do dupe content, which I told you is a lot of times why I just do a collection video, and it might be a mini declutter, but I think I actually want to get rid of this Michaela and Glam Light Part 2 palette, although it is a good alternative for the smoke sessions palette that you'll see a little bit later if you want more neutrals in your smoke session vibe. Matter of fact, let me just show it now, sitting right here next to me. So this is the original smoke sessions. They came out with like the puffy shadows that they fix now, but as you can see, they are quite similar in tone. So I'm like, I think I can let go of the Michaela one, because I don't really support glam light anymore. They have too many like issues and problems that they haven't resolved for my personal liking. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this one, but of course I'm gonna keep my smoke session. Okay, next we have It's Freaking Best. So this is stuff that overflowed from the last part of the video that was supposed to go in those drawers that I had somewhere else because I was filming with it, but I finally stopped filming with it. So I don't know what's going on with Shroud. This is the It's Freaking Best with Baddie Bean and Shroud. And this is what it looks like on the inside. I love the color story of this. I like the color story of this better than the I like the form of this one better than the Glam Light and Scooby-Doo one that duped her color story of her palette. So I'm gonna keep this one. I do keep that one for reference though. Plus, it's nice to have an affordable alternative of something. So that one I am gonna keep, but you know. Next we have the Night Flower. So this is the Night Flower, and then I showed you all the Wildflower. The Night Flower was at my grandmother's house because I was supposed to be filming some content with it. So this is what it looks like on the inside. Very, very nice color story. Of course, y'all know I love a blue purple moment. So as soon as I saw that that was their palette, I had to do it. The last one I have is the Holidays from the Muppets and ColourPop. I think I was supposed to be comparing this to another palette, and then I ended up not doing it, or I forgot which one I was supposed to compare it to in order to make my comparison video, and that's why I didn't do it. But this is what it looks like on the inside. As you can see, I've added some shades. So they had some pressed glitters in here. Y'all know how I feel about pressed glitters. I don't like them, so I took them out and replaced them with this green and this pink. So Kermit the Frog was green, and then like Miss Piggy had green shade, and that's what a glitter shade, and I switched both of those down in here. So that's why it looks like this. Now I kind of feel like it looks similar to the new Pat McGrath palette that came out this year, which looks similar to another Pat McGrath palette that she already has. So let me do my little Viseart ones real quick, and then we'll finally get into my Melt collection. And of course, I don't have to show you Smoke Session because I already did. But yeah, this is the dark, the dark edit, or the dark matte. Sorry, the dark edit is the smaller one. So this is what it looks like on the inside. This is the original packaging that they came out with. As you can see, mine is trying to pop out of the case. I don't know if you see that. I have to pop mine back in. So I don't know if like the glue has stopped holding up, because mine is quite old. Because I think I bought this on sale when they were changing the packaging, and they have had the packaging changed for quite a while now. So, you know. But I'm going to keep it because it's still been working nicely last I checked. This is the Neutral Matte, I believe it is. Isn't that what this is called? The Neutral Matte Milieu. I liked this one because it had like some pops of color in it, and I feel like they usually give you a whole bunch of like, you know, neutral tones and no color. So I like the fact that I felt like there was 1, 2, 3 pops of color in it that made this palette a little more interesting. And so I was a sucker and ended up buying it. Now I rarely use these palettes because a lot of the times I already have palettes with mattes and shimmers in them, and y'all know since Viseart is a makeup sorry, a makeup artist brand, they usually don't put things like that together. So a lot of these are individually set up. This is the Editorial Brights. Of course, y'all know I was going to have to buy the rainbow palette. I have a big version and a small version of this. You all have, I'm sure, already seen the small version of this for when I go on vacation and I want to take colorful shades. But there's that. I have a couple of other bigger ones that I think they're in another drawer, and that's why you've been seeing them. Or, no, matter of fact, they're in my grandmother's house for a video, and that's why you've been seeing them. This is the Koi palette. This is like a good alternative to the Seahorse palette from Adept Cosmetics. If you didn't get a chance to get your hands on it, it is coming back in 2025 from what I remember the owner saying. So if you want to wait, you can. I love the Seahorse palette. That's one of my all-time favorite shimmery eyeshadow palettes, all shimmer palettes. When it comes to pastels, for sure. I do like this one, though, as a backup or as an alternative if I can't use that one. And I'll probably be using this one until they come out with the Seahorse one again. The only thing is I think she said they're going to change like the colors in it a little bit. So I'm a little concerned about that and how the changes are going to look. But anyway, this is the Koi palette. They were saying they were going to get rid of it, and then they ended up bringing it back, and now they have a different version of it on top of the original version. Like they have a smaller one in their smaller packaging. So there's that. Okay, so let's move on to this next thing. I'm shocked I decluttered anything, y'all. So like I said, I'll put Smoke Sessions to the side because you already saw it. I'm gonna go to the smaller ones, then I'll go to the bigger ones, and then you'll see the holiday stuff last. Okay, so I have the Blueprint palette. This is what she looks like on the inside. Now, I do switch around my Milk Cosmetics palettes like I do with Natasha Denona and ColourPop. So, needless to say, these 3 shades were not in this palette initially. Now, all these things to right here are original shades of the palette. These 3 are from, what do you call it? I'm pretty sure these 2 came from, what is it? I want to say they came from the one of the 420 palettes that they came out with. You know, they always come in with a palette on 420. It's one of those. I forgot the name of the exact one. It's the one with the crystals on the front of the packaging. I feel like these 2 came from there. And if I remember correctly, this silver came from the Millennial Pinks. Don't quote me, though. It's been a long time since I've remade this, so I don't remember where all of them came from. But I do have the original stack of this palette as well. I think I decluttered it, though, just because, you know, I already have the palette and I don't need both. Then we have She's and Parties. Now, I never bought the stack. I was never really that crazy about this palette. I ended up getting it in palette form because I do review Milk a lot, or at least I used to. I don't do it as much anymore. So I added a couple of, I think I literally just added 1 shade into here. If I remember correctly, I just pressed down this shade and stuck it in here to get rid of one of those other shades because I felt like there weren't enough shimmers in here. They had a lot of dark shimmers, and this was the only light shimmer for the inner corner. So I added this one just because I wanted another shimmer that I feel like went nice with the colors in here. So I feel like since this is a blue to purple shifting shade, a lot of these shades in here are purple or deep burgundy, so it will go nice with those. And then the lighter one could go if you wanted pinks, and then if you just want to use some deeper tones, you still have these deeper tones to use. So I thought it balanced out the palette nicely, so I went ahead and pressed that shadow in there and made it work. Now here's Smoke Sessions 2. As you can see, it's giving more purple to it compared to Smoke Sessions 1. So let me show Smoke Sessions 1. So as you can see, there's 2 different types of Smoke Sessions. They have the original green grungy one, and I think this is supposed to be more like a purple haze type vibe, and that's why it's out. So this is what it looked like compared to that one. I don't know. I like the formula of the original one better than the Smoke Sessions 2 because I feel like they changed up their formula recently, or ever since I don't know if it was the butterfly palette they came up with for the holidays ever since they changed it up, but I could definitely tell a difference in the formula. So this one isn't as pigmented. You have to work on it and build it up a whole lot more. So I'm not necessarily as crazy about it. I mean, I like the fact that it's a purple palette, but I don't know. This one was a little bit disappointing personally to me. So let's get into some of the bigger ones now. Okay, y'all. So our Milk collection is like mixed up between the 2 houses. So this is the Milk collection I have here as far as the long one goes, because I have more long ones than this. It's just certain ones are here and certain ones are at my house for, you know, different reasons, obviously. Anyway, this is the Barely Syrian and Milk Cosmetics Fatally Yours. She has since come out with Fatally Yours 2, and I'm like, when it goes on sale, I'll pick it up, but I don't know, like, it's similar to so many other color stores I already have. I didn't feel the need to pick it up when it first dropped. I will say I do like her matte form a little bit better than the new one that they're using. I feel like hers picks up a little more pigmentation, is a little bit more like their more traditional formulas that they initially came out with, where it was very pigmented, and if you picked up some and you picked up too much, it would be hard to blend out and you look crazy if you didn't know what you were doing. So I prefer that formula, believe it or not. I think it's just because I was used to it, and now with this one you have to pick it up and dip back in a million times. I'm not necessarily a huge fan. With her palettes, you don't have to pick up nearly as much and go in as many times to get the pigmentation you're looking for. So I do like that about hers. I like the color story of this too. I like the fact that she gave you nice little warm tone moment here, and then you get a nice little cool tone moment over here. I like the way the palette was divided up. It's really nice. I don't know how I feel about it just being all mattes, but I feel like Melt's shimmer formula was never really exceptional, so I guess it's okay that it's all matte. Since their matte formula is what people liked the most, it made sense for her to do that first. Next, we have the Electric palette from Melt Cosmetics. This one was, I think, their 420 palette of 2023. As you can see, I put an extra really sparkly, fun, and special shade in here to make the palette pop and give it extra oomph. I'm gonna probably have to press it down some more. I'm not that great when it comes to like pressing shades and making them work, but I took this one from the 420 palette, the shade right here. I'm trying to think. I feel like I took some more shades from somewhere else. Don't quote me. Like, I feel like these greens came from somewhere else, but I don't exactly remember. So, like I said, once I recreate a palette, I'm not really worried about where the other shades came from. But I like the way this one looks now compared to the way it originally looked. I think it has a little bit more brightness and fun and pizzazz and matches like the outer packaging a little bit better, especially with this holographic shading. I wasn't really that crazy about the formula though, and it looked similar to the, what is that palette? The Vita palette that they had. That was another thing with me when it came to Electric. I'm like, you look really similar to the Vita palette. Before I had changed out the shades, it looked really similar. Now it's not looking nearly as similar as it did, but I'm telling y'all, when I had left it the way it originally looked, if you go watch my video, they look very similar. So I changed it out because I was like, I don't want to have two palettes that looked exactly the same. So this one was definitely a disappointment when it came to the formula. Next, we have Gemini 2. I have changed this one out as well. I just feel like there were too many like deep toned like shades in here. What Melt does, I feel like a lot of times gives you a lot of deep mattes, and then they'd give you like deep shimmers and matching. It's like, I don't want deep shimmers, I want lighter shimmers to offset the deepness of the shimmer. So as you can see, I added 1, 2, 3 shades in here to get more shimmers I felt like would go with each set. So I tried to set it up with like 1, 2, 3 or 2 to 3 mattes, and then shimmers that would match those mattes nicely. So I feel like the red would go nice with the green or with this side. I feel like the pink would go good with this side, and then I felt like the green could go with this one, or you could put the green, red, pink. So I tried to pick shimmers that I felt like would go with all of the mattes that are already in here, and this leave particular mattes that I felt like would pull the looks together as a whole. So this is what mine looks like, and I definitely like it as opposed to the way it normally looked. Again, this isn't a color store I'm necessarily crazy about. To me, it's just giving like vintage rose vibes from that Give Me Glow brand, but I think I got rid of that palette too. So, or at least it's, yeah, I think I sold that one already, but that's what mine looks like. The last one I have is a Millennial Pinks. I think this was like one of my favorite ones to redo. And let's open her up and see. So this is what it looks like now. Now this shade was originally in here, but as you can see, what I did was in here, I took the greens. So I bought the bundle of the Gemini. I bought a new original Gemini and Gemini 2 because mine was falling apart, like the patching and the adhesive. It literally came off and the palette was just sticking to the magnets at the top and the bottom was just flopping. So I was like, let me get a new one since they have a bundle. So I bought the bundle, and then I took like this green and this green out of my original Millennial Pinks. And I think I might have taken this shade out of my Millennial Pinks as well, or this shade came out of the Blueprint palette. And then this one came out of the 420 palette. So that's how I recreated this one. But I like having a nice green and pink palette. And then, you know, I can use this bronzy shade for when I want to do just a dark green eye or just a green eye. And then I have all these varieties of shades to do a pink eye with. Or you can do a pink and green combination and use the pinks on the lid and then put like, you know, this lighter shade in the inner quarter. So that was my thought process behind the way I recreated this palette. And I must say, I am very impressed with it. Now we're going to finally get into the holiday palette. So, of course, I have to start off with the Vita and the Morte. I still have my original one, so that's why the magnets stick together. If you bought the new Morte and and tried to put it with the old Vita, like the magnets don't line up. But I think it's because I guess they couldn't remember like how the magnets lined up, and they were only making one palette, so they just let them stick the magnets anywhere. So if you have a new one and you have the old Vita, it's not gonna stick together like mine does. Just random side note, but this is what it looked like side by side. Originally, I only bought the Morte because it was the color story that I loved, and then I found the Vita on clearance at Sephora when they first got in there, and then I just went ahead and bought it. So that's how I ended up with, you know, Vita and Morte, because originally I was just fine with having Morte. Now they did relaunch Morte. It's not the same formula as this one, which is my original Morte, so just something to keep in mind. But I really love the Morte color story. It is my favorite still. Vita is okay. I just feel like there's too many browns, so I gotta prefer to have another fun bright color to go in there, or maybe some fun shimmers or some deeper grungier tones to match the brighter tones to make it work. But I understand they wanted people to be able to do more looks than just colorful looks with it, so that's why the neutrals are in there. But that's just my personal preference. But this is still one of my all-time favorite Melt collections. Then we have these Halloween ones. You can actually find these at TJ Maxx or Marshalls, if I remember correctly, and I think they're like 50% off on Sephora's website too. So we have Halloween Town. This is what it looks like. I've given y'all a video showing alternatives to both these palettes, though, that you might already have in your collection. But if you were interested, you can definitely find them at TJ Maxx and Marshalls. I know I found both of them at TJ Maxx and Marshalls, so it's something to keep in mind. I ended up liking the color story of this one, or at least the look I got with this one, better than the one in Christmas Town. And I thought for sure I was going to like Christmas Town better because I like the color story better. But this one actually worked out better for me. I feel like this would pair nicely with Hollow Bean from Baddie Bean and who do you call it? And Shroud as well. So I want to, in the future, put those together. I'll have to wait and see, though. And on to Christmas Town. So this is what Christmas Town looks like. And Christmas Town just kind of reminds me of the Dede Signature palette that came out this year, that re-released this year, which is the Jingle Bell Ruby palette. It definitely gives the vibes of that without this unique, weird white shade, but it has like a lot of those other similar tones. I actually did a video comparing the Dede Signature one to this one, and I heard they updated their matte formats and a lot better. So if you're interested in getting in, you can't find this at TJ Maxx, and you're not into the new melt formula, I would recommend that palette easily. I do have a code with Dede Signature. It's Gelbeauty-87, and I usually leave a link down below. But I really like the color story of this. It's just the formula of it disappointed me, and I wasn't able to get as cohesive looks as I thought I was going to, because I was thinking like the green and red and then use a little bit of the purple, and that would be a thing. But I don't know, I just didn't like it as much as I was hoping to. So okay, we got 3 more melt palettes, and then we'll move on to the next set of things, which is going to be, I think I'm going to do Natasha Denona and BH Cosmetics next, because I'm trying to go by drawers. Anyway, so next we have the, what is this called? The Amor Mariposas palette. I did recreate this one as well. I'm telling y'all, I just be recreating all the melt palettes. So I felt like there wasn't, enough shimmers in here for my liking. As you can see, that one's breaking, so I'm gonna have to press that later on. But I added this shimmer, this shimmer, this shimmer, and this shimmer, just because I wanted a little more oomph and pizzazz in here, and I felt like I wasn't getting that with it. So I added like 4 shimmers to it, and I like it a whole lot more now. It's still not one I reach for that often though, but I feel like these shimmers just went better with the mattes that I chose to keep in here. And the shimmers that were already in here went nicely with the warm tone part, but they didn't go as well with the cool tone part. So this is one that I was kind of disappointed in, especially because they had changed the size of the pans. Like, they made them so much smaller. It's like, I understand from a business perspective why they were made smaller and all that, but a lot of people complained about the space in between the palettes, which I wasn't really concerned myself with the space in between the palette. I was more concerned about why is the, why are the pans so small? Not that we use up eyeshadow in it, but it's like, how it's like a fear of change. That was kind of like my whole thing. Like, are all of them gonna be like that from now on? And they have from time to time made them like that, so anyway, next is the Beetlejuice collection. So this is the recently deceased, and then of course I have the waiting room. So I have both of them. Sorry, I probably should have. So as you can see, it's just giving green purple vibes. Beetlejuice type vibes. A lot of people said they felt like a lot of the colors were too similar to other colors, which I understand. Like, this one has a little bit more of a yellow mustardy type undertone, and this one has more of a bright greenish undertone, whereas this purple is just a tad bit lighter than this one. But my whole thing is, when you blend them out, they look eerily similar, so I understand why people felt the way they felt. But I'm assuming they were looking at it as like you can use it in quad. So that way they have one if you're a lighter skin tone and then one if you're deeper skin tone type thing. And maybe that's why they did that way. I genuinely don't know. But next we have the waiting room. This is what it looks like. And this is why I haven't been excited about a lot of people's Halloween palettes this year. Because I'm like, I already have it in here. Like the Sinister palette from Cosmic Beauty. Like, you know, it looks really similar to this. And you just added purple. Then the one from Ulta, the Silvery Bliss palette. Again, it looks like this. And you just added some purple. So it's like everybody just looked like they making this palette over and adding purples. And it's like, that's why I wasn't impressed. Because I'm like, it's the same palette as everyone else a million times over. So now that we got through all the melt stuff, let's get into the other stuff I just talked about. Okay, so I have actually four of the 5 ice cream palettes. No, sorry, 4 of the 6 ice cream palettes. So I'm gonna show you what I have. I only have 3 here because I'm gonna do a video comparing another one. So there's that. But here is the Sweet Shop Cherry on Top palette. So this is the first one. I try to stack them in the order that they're supposed to go, since you stack them all together and they look like a giant ice cream cone, which I think is so cute. But there's just their version of monochromatic palettes. But I gotta say, this is like the best quality out of every single palette they have in their arsenal. And then next I would say would be the traveling palettes. But yeah, the formula on these is phenomenal, amazing, stunning, absolutely wonderful. So there's that one. Then next will be my bubblegum palette, since I don't have my cotton candy one. So as you can see, cotton candy would have been over here. That's what the pink is for. Here's what it looks like. Of course, y'all know I had to have the blue one. I like blue, green, and purple. So they had a blue one and a green one. So I bought the 2 that they had. The blues in here are actually really phenomenal. And what I liked about them is I felt like they gave unique colors for each color story. And they were colors that you don't see in a lot of other monochromatic palettes. I feel like them and ColourPop do a good job when it comes to their blue monochromatic palettes especially. So I had to have it. It was stunning. And I was so glad I got it, because I wasn't initially going to get them. But then I tried the form and I was like, I'm so glad I got these, because they magically disappeared. Last, we have the pistachio. Now, this is probably my least favorite out of all of them, believe it or not. And it's not because, I don't know. I guess maybe it is because of the color story. I don't know. I don't find it to be as cohesive as I do the other ones when it comes to the colors. Maybe I just don't like the tones of green they chose. I really don't know what it is. But this is my least favorite out of all of them. All the other ones I like so much more. This is just like the bottom of the barrel for me. And it's not because of quality. It's literally just because of the colors of green they chose. As weird as that sounds. Next, we're going to go into the food ones. So I only have 3 food ones. I'm going to start off with my mimosas. So this is my least favorite one out of all of them, just because I feel like the color story is quite light. I mean, you do get a couple of dark shades like these 2 or 3 right here, but I don't know. This one doesn't appeal to me as much as the other ones I have from them. So that's why I'm just kind of like, when it comes to this one, this is my least used one out of all of the ones I have, because it just doesn't do that much for me. This and like a couple of other ones that you'll see later on. Next, I have the avocado toast. Now, I do have a bigger Christmas palette from them. The original Christmas one they came out with. Not the Miss Claus one. Santa's daughter. But this to me is a unique green color story for a palette. So that's why I like to hold on it. Plus, it has really good quality in it. I wish there were more lighter shimmers than deeper ones, but I feel like they kind of leaned more into having a lot of deeper shimmers. So that was the only thing that's a little disappointing to me, because I feel like you have like maybe these 2 light ones and then everything else is deep. But, you know, it's still good quality and I still like it, so that's why I hold on to it. Now, of course, y'all know I was going to have the blueberry muffin. Like, the color story of blueberry muffin to me is phenomenal, amazing, wonderful. Like, this is probably one of their best color stories of the brand. I love the blues in here. I like the fact that it's not like a traditional brown shade. Like, it has like a reddish brown undertone to it. I thought that was cool. Overall, I just thought this was a unique concept for a palette. Now, I don't see where gray comes into a blueberry muffin, but you know, to each his own. That's the only shade to me that stands out as weird. Everything else seems fine, because sometimes when you cook blueberries, they turn to different tones like this. And of course, you had to have lighter blues to pair with the deeper blues. The only color that stands out to me in this palette is gray, but you know, I'll let them have it just because everything else about it is so amazing. Now let's get into these travel palettes. Now, this is one of my least used travel palettes. Like, the first 2 on the top are my least used. Actually, there's only one of these I really use that much now that I think about it. This is the Tokyo one. And it's just their version of like a rainbow palette. I like to keep it around because I think it's a good affordable rainbow palette. My only thing is I was thinking about decluttering it just because you haven't seen BH Cosmetics come out with anything in like ages. But at the same time, I feel like sometimes you still run across these at TJ Maxx and Marshall. So that's why I don't want to get rid of it, because it's like it could be an alternative for somebody who doesn't want to spend a whole lot of money. And since I already have it, why declutter it? So I'm probably going to hold on to it. But this is like one of my least used rainbow palettes. But mainly because, you know, BH Cosmetics isn't really a thing anymore. So next we have the Central Pay palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. I have a ColourPop palette that has a really similar tone to this. I like the color story okay. It's just I usually reach for ColourPop over BH Cosmetics. And again, ColourPop still exists and BH Cosmetics doesn't. I mean, they Makeup Revolution bought it, but it's like I don't feel like they do anything with that brand. I feel like they just bought them because they knew they had better formula than Makeup Revolution, and you know they could use their formulas to keep Makeup Revolution alive and give it better, you know, formulas than they initially had. So I'm gonna still hold on to it though. I still hold on to them though, because like I said, you can find these at TJ Maxx and Marshall sometimes, and the newer ones you can still find on Beauty Bay. So that's another reason I hold on to them. Like for example, Passion in Paris is my favorite one though. I don't care what you say. I'm so sorry. Passion in Paris. Like look at this color story. I feel like this is absolutely stunning. This and Blueberry Muffin are probably like my favorite ones when it comes to this size of palette. Then I would say Avocado Toast. And maybe the Central Pay palette. But yeah, this one for sure. She's lovely. She's amazing. I want to pair this with Blueberry Muffin just because I feel like that would be something fun and unique. I could use this dark green and that gray and some of the unique shimmers in here to go with that. Or I could just put some of these purples with the blues in the Blueberry Muffin palette and make a lovely look. So I definitely plan on pairing these together. Eventually, I just, you know, don't know when that will be, because a lot of times when I'm filming and doing eyeshadow looks, it's because I do eyeshadow looks for videos, not necessarily for my free time. Lastly, we have the Party in Puerto Rico. I believe that was the name of this palette. Yeah, Party in Puerto Rico says it on there. This is what it looks like. It's just a warm tone palette. I feel like this is a good alternative to the Metamorphosis palette from Lethal Cosmetics. If you all remember, they had a holiday collection. It was the Metamorphosis palette and then the Evergreen palette. Those two palettes I showed you all in the video before this one, I believe. But this one, they're definitely alternative to that. The only thing is I didn't feel like the quality on this one was as good as Passion in Paris. And the crazy thing is they both came out at the same time. So I'm like, how is the formula on the Passion in Paris better than this formula? And people use like warm tones, so I thought they'd have been focused more on making this formula better than that one. But in my personal opinion, it wasn't. I heard other creators saying they didn't like the formula of this as well as Passion in Paris as well. So it can't just be me then, because you know too many people are saying the exact same thing. So I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, let me pull out the next set of palettes. Okay, so on to the Natasha Denona palette. So this is the gold palette. I'm starting off with the big ones because I don't have that many big ones. I only have 4 in my, Circle Locals at my grandmother's house for a video I have to do. So I'll show it to you over there, or hopefully I did show it to you over there. I'm not sure, but this is the gold palette. This is, the original gold palette. Y'all know she came out with the golden palette. I believe it was this year. And it's supposed to be a dupe of this one, or it's supposed to be a smaller version of this one without the fun shades. So that would be these 1, 2, 3. I think that might be a fun shade too. But these 4 shades right here are gone. So you just get a lot of like neutral and brown and gold shimmers, which is what she normally does. So I prefer my original gold palette over the golden palette, but it's like a to each his own type thing. If you prefer that, that's fine. But I personally don't necessarily like that she came out with a newer version that doesn't have the fun shades in it, because that's what made it appealing personally to me. Next, we have the Safari palette. So this is what it looks like. I like this one. I took this shade out right here though, because I think it was like super light, or it was like a whitish type shade. I know I took one shade out of here in particular to make it like more feasible for me and replaced it with this shade. So I like it this way. I wish I had one that matched better with like the tones that's at the top of this one, but that's what I had to work with, so that's what I worked with. I actually really like this palette. I know the late great Mel Thompson said it was not her personal favorite palette, but you know, I personally enjoyed it, so happy to have it in my collection. Next, we have the Natasha Denona Trio Chrome palette. And this is what it looks like. Now, again, I did take a shade out of here to make it work better for me, because there was one shade in here I really wasn't feeling, so I took it out. This one is from the Tropic palette, and it was one other shade I added into here, if I remember correctly. I think it's like, I think it might be this yellow one right here I put down here to make it work better, or make it flow better for my personal liking, because the other shade that was down here I wasn't really feeling that much. The disappointing thing about this palette is these are the 3 trio chromes, and I feel like they don't give that much shift. I mean, the first 2 do okay, but I feel like the shade Color Flip doesn't do that much, and I wish they had been more like her liquid ones, because I feel like those gave more shift, more you know, color payoff and shifting in the eyes, and I feel like these just gave the minimal, and this is $129. So I feel like this should have been one that was like $69, just because it, you know, would have been more fitting for what I feel like we got out of that palette, but to each his own. So now let's get into these middies. So I have the Glam Face palette. I have the dark one. I'm quite sure that's what it's called. It might be called Dark Deep. I'm not sure. This is the first one she came out with before she came out with the Love one. This is what it looks like on the inside. As you can see, you get 5 eyeshadows, you get a blush, and you get a highlighter. Now, I did hear the blush in the lighter one dries up really quickly. My blush personally hasn't dried up. It's still usable. It's still nice. This is one I would feel like if you had to go on like a weekend vacation or something, it'd be good to take, because you have your eyeshadows, you have your blush, you have your highlighter, and then you grab like a foundation stick, some concealer, and some bronzer, and I feel like you should be good to go because your blush and your highlighter is already in here. So I personally like that one a lot for that reason. Now, I wish she would come out with a more colorful version of that, and technically she did with the Love palette, but the blush in the Love palette is terrible. If they had given more of a blush like the one in the Glam palette, I feel like it would have gone off better, but I don't know if it was like a rush thing or if it's because it was Valentine's Day and limited edition they didn't care as much. I don't know, but it was not giving at all. Next, we have the Sunrise palette. So this is what it looks like on the inside. I think it's absolutely stunning. I like the color story of this. I feel like this is a good alternative to the High Temp palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. If you already have this, you might not necessarily need to get that one. Now, keep in mind, obviously, the color of that one is going to be more bright than the one in here. But, you know, it's a nice palette all the same. And this is the first midi palette she came out with. And I was skeptic to get it because I was like, but I ended up getting it because I want to see if the formula was going to be the same as the bigger one. Now, these palettes are hit and miss, kind of like the Huda Beauty 9-pan palette. So sometimes they have good formulas, sometimes they don't. That's just my personal opinion on it. But, you know, again, it's a teach its own type thing, so good with that. Next, we have the Love palette from Natasha Denona. This is one of my favorite midi palettes. I just love the color story of this. Again, I feel like this is a good alternative to the, what's that palette? The Sinister palette from Cosmic Beauty, because I feel like it has similar colors to it. I don't think it has the pinks, but it has the reds, it has the purples, it has this dark grayish section. It just doesn't have the dark gray matte, so it gives a good alternative to the Sinister palette from Cosmic Beauty for anyone who's interested. But I love the color story of this. I feel like it's also a good alternative to the Silvery Bliss palette from Ulta for Holiday too. It just has pops of purple in it that one doesn't have, but it has the reds, it has the silver and the black. So just something to think about. They did not make this one anymore, though. It has been discontinued. Then we have the Retro Glam palette. Now, please keep in mind, I did recreate my Retro Glam palette because, again, Natasha Denona has these holes in there where you can remake those. I wish Pat McGrath would do that with her palette, so that way you can move them around, at least the smaller ones. I feel like that would be more fun. So this is what mine looks like. I added a blue green shifting shimmer because there's green and pink. I added a pink with blue sparkle in it, or more pink and purple sparkle in it, and then I added a blue just because I like blue. So this is what mine looks like. I like mine a whole lot better now looking like this, because initially it looked really washed out and boring. I don't know if it's because of the trim on it or because like the colors they chose in it, but I definitely like mine in its new form as opposed to the way it was initially. Next, we have the Zendo palette. So this is like a half warm tone, half cool tone type moment, like a lot of palettes people come out with for people who want to try both sides of the color spectrum. They put it in one palette. A good alternative to this was the Arcania palette from Shoutout. If you already have it, you wouldn't necessarily need to get Zendo. And this is one of those ones I told you all about, like a hit and miss. So this one was a miss for a lot of people. They felt like the formula wasn't as good. My whole thing is I feel like it was just the shimmers that weren't as good. Like, you usually expect certain shimmer quality from her, and I feel like she skimped on the shimmer formula when it came to this palette, and I feel like that's what let people down, and that's why people weren't super excited about this palette, because, you know, they kind of skimped on the quality when it came to the palette. So I don't know, but I still keep it just because it's not super bad. It's just not exactly what I was hoping for. The mattes are fine. It's just the shimmers that aren't as exciting. But it's like I can just add a sparkly shimmer from another one of her palettes, or I can just, you know, use an indie single shadow and make it a little bit more. And since I already own it and I do rate Natasha Denona a lot, I didn't feel the need to just get rid of it for like the shimmers not being that great. Next we have the retro palette. So this is the original one that came out before that retro glam I showed you all. People were expecting this palette to look completely different. I did take one shade out and switch it, so I put this pink in here. I just felt like there should be another like mid-tone bright pink, because I feel like there were a lot of deep shades or a lot of really light shades, but I wanted a more of just pigmented true pink, so that's how that got in there. But I like this one just fine. I feel like it's a nice deep berry burgundy moment for when you want a grungy berry toned eye. So this was a nice add to the collection, and this is one of the good formulas. There are barely any ones when it comes to the palettes that have a bad formula. I do feel like retro glam isn't as good a formula as the original retro, so I put it more in the Zendo category with those. So those only two I really felt like weren't that great. The rest of them I feel like are pretty much fine. Oh, and the what is that one called? I forgot the name of it. I think it's the Pastel Dreams or the Pastel palette. It's not that great either. Next, we have the My Dream palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. If you own the Empowered palette from Ulta Beauty, I don't feel like you necessarily need this one. If you did want to get this one, though, I do have a code with Natasha Denona. It's Gelbeauty-87. But, this one and the Power one seem pretty similar to me. I did a video comparing both of them for anyone who's interested. So I like the color stories of them just fine. I feel like it's a nice ratio of I feel like it's more neutrals than it is like, you know, more grungy vibes, which is my side over here. But it's still a nice palette and it's still a nice formula. It's supposed to be Natasha's dream palette, not mine. So that's how I look at it when I look at the color story, and not necessarily like how many neutrals there are. Next, we have the Yucca palette. That's what it looks like on the inside. Now, I did add an orange shade to it. And mind y'all, I don't even like the color orange like that, but I just felt like this palette needed an orange, and I feel like it had too many, like, greens. It had, like, this one orangey shade, and it had this yellowish S shade, but I wanted, like, a true orange. So I took a true orange from my old indie brand that I don't use anymore, stuffed it in the pan in here. I got this. Now, as you can see, it's messy because I guess I didn't press down the matte that well, but, you know, I'm still new to pressing mattes down. I'm usually a little better at shimmers because I feel like they have binders, and I feel like the matte doesn't have as much of a binder for me to like manipulate and push around. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But anyway, this is what my Yucca palette looks like. I would say this is probably one of my top 5 palettes from her as well. I feel like it's a nice color story, especially for summertime. If you want an alternative to this, though, you can pick up the Tropical Vibes palette from Ace Beauty. I'm sure they have it at a great deal because they're supposed to be rebranding for the second time. So you might be able to get it a better deal from them than Natasha. Just something to keep in mind. But I have seen the Natasha one on the clearance rack at, what is it? Sephora, so you might want to check on there and see if you can find it at a pretty decent deal, because it might be there and it might be something you end up liking. Just thought. Okay, y'all, now we're gonna get into the next set of palettes. Give me a minute. Okay, y'all, so I got a lot of Ulta palettes, but a lot of them aren't here because I'm doing comparison videos with them because I have so many and they have lots of similar color stories to other things I own. So I'll show you what I have. And then in the last video with the last one, hopefully I have the other stuff done. And then I can show you like the rest of the Ulta. And then we'll ease into the last drawer, which is probably going to be the longest one of all, because it's the one that's the fullest. Next, let's get into the Jewels and Gems palette. I feel like this is a good alternative to the Amy Loves and Adept Cosmetics palette. For anyone who's interested, if you already own this, you might not necessarily need to pick that one up. This is what it looks like, though. I like this one a little bit better than Amy's just because I like the color story of this a little bit better. But I do have both, of course. Then we have the Stone and Rock palette. This could be another good alternative for the Yucca palette I just showed you all if you don't necessarily care about having those lighter orangey yellowish tones and you're more focused on green. I feel like for my green lovers, this would be a good palette for you. Then I have my YouTuber stuff. Anyway, so we got the Giant Wolves palette from Ulta and Adept's Makeup Corner. This is what it looks like on the inside. So you have like a nice green part toward the top, and you have like more of the berryish pink and blue tone toward the bottom. That's how I try to look at this palette. So it's like, look at it like you got 1/6 pan here, 1/6 pan there. And that's how you can come up with looks if you can't think of looks just looking at it on your own. But I like this palette. I have 2 of this palette, and I have 2 of Tina the Fancy Faces palette, because y'all don't understand how excited I was when Tina came out with this palette with Women's Eye. Honey, I had to have 2, or I had 3, but I put one in the giveaway when it initially came out, so I only have 2 now. But honey, I was going to have this palette. As you can see, it is well loved. Look at all the dips and all the shades. And I told you I don't even like orange that much, but as you can see, there's quite a dip in there. So there's quite a few dips in my palette when it comes to Tina's palette. I do have the new collection that they have with Annette, Tina, and Judy as well, but since it came out this year, I had to, you know, take it to rank it, so that's why some stuff isn't here, because I came up with a lot this year, so I have a lot to rank. Next, we have Angie's collection. So this is her Halloween collection. I do have her other collection as well, but Hella I'm filming with, so that's why it's not here. Anyway, this is Little Ghost. Yeah, but like I was saying, so my phone got full, so I'm pretty sure I was on this palette, but I'm trying to remember what I was saying. Anyway, I like the color story of this one a lot, but I feel like I remember saying that they have the Soul Mine 2 that is really similar to this palette. So if you already have Soul Mine 2, you don't necessarily need to get this one. However, if I remember correctly, Angie said there's only a few of these left, her Halloween collection, and you can get it on sale. Now, when I checked for it on sale, it was 30% off. I don't know if it's still 30% off at the time this video is going up, so just keep that in mind. I'm not sure if it's still 30% off. Don't ask me. I don't know. But yeah, it is 30% off on the time that I checked this. And I think it's a great collection and great color story. Now, I know a lot of people had an issue with Angie having a collection. This is the Trick or Treat palette, because they were saying that she's not from here and she talked about not celebrating Halloween and all that. I personally feel like once she got to America and started experiencing Halloween or whatever, and since it is a Swedish-based brand, it would make more sense for a Swedish person to work with the Swedish brand on Halloween to give more perspective to people that are in Sweden, so they can have a better understanding of Halloween now that she lives here in America for however long they're going to be here, and it is explaining her thought behind Halloween. So I understood why they did it the way they did it, but I can understand people being like, you know, you should have did maybe it with like Baddie Bean or somebody who actually really loves Halloween, since they did go on to do a collection with Baddie Bean. I get where they're coming from, but I get where the brand was coming from too, so you know. Anyway, this color story kind of reminds me of the Hudson Valley from Nomad Cosmetics. If you already own that one, you might not feel the need to own this one. I like it okay. This isn't my favorite of the 3. This would probably be like my middle favorite, because I like Hella okay, but once the Halloweens came out, I like those better. But y'all know Little Ghost is top for me when it comes to Angie's collections with Women's Eye. Then I got a couple of the Halloween palettes. I mean, not the Halloween, the Christmas palette. So this is the Merry Christmas one, the original one that everybody went crazy over, Christmas Eve and Merry Christmas. This is what it looks like on the inside. And again, I feel like Angie's palette looks really similar to this one as well. Matter of fact, since I'm here, you're here, we're all here. We'll just open up side by side and you can see what I'm talking about. Like, I feel like both of these just look pretty similar. Like this one does have a pink, but you see how it has like it has a dark brown instead of black, but it has the oranges in it. It has the greens, and it has like little bronzy golden shades. So I feel like it could be a good alternative if you didn't get this palette and you don't want to buy the whole bundle just to get this palette, because they have a bundle where you have to buy all 4 of them, these 2, and then I think the 2 that they originally came out with, and then the 2 new ones. If I remember correctly, that's how it goes. Or it might be the 2 from the year before and then these 2, but yeah, I really loved this palette. I still really like it. I heard some people thought it was overrated for what it was and aren't really crazy about Women's Eye forming like they used to. I still like it just fine. That's just my personal opinion. And I've tried them out since they had the original Soul Mine palette, which was their second palette. And I've been with them ever since then. So, anyway, next we have the Snow Dream palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. This is probably my least favorite one out of all of them. I feel like it has amazing shimmers. Like this hollow chrome shimmer right here is amazing. It's really nice. To me, that's what makes this particular one stand out, because otherwise I wouldn't take a second turn at this one. This is like a lighter person friendly version of the Sumerian Sunset from Adept Cosmetics. I definitely feel like if you're of a lighter skin tone and you don't want to buy the Sumerian Sunset from Adept, this would be a good alternative for you, because I did a video comparing both of these on how similar they are and how I got similar looks with them. So just something to keep in mind. But I'm not really a huge fan of this one. Okay, y'all, we only got, I think, 1 drawer left, and this episode should be done. So this one isn't as long, hopefully. I feel like it's going to be around this 45-hour mark and not go over an hour, though. So hopefully. Okay, y'all, so we're going to start off with the one-off palettes in the drawer, and then we're going to end off with the bigger collections of palettes. So I have 2 Makeup by Mario palettes. This is the newest one he came out with the Ethereal Nights. I think that's what it's called, right? Yeah, the Ethereal Eyes Moonlight. So this is what it looks like on the inside. It's just like a cool tone palette with the pop of blue effect in it. I like this one better than I like the initial Ethereal Eyes he came out with, but that's because it was more like a neutral, like, play it safe, neutral, everyday color palette. I like this one because it gives at least a little bit of smoke. This side does. This side is still that same boring effect. I feel like I would have liked it better if he did a full-on cool tone thing, but it's like I understand why he didn't do that, because it's like you want to have some neutrals to go with it, or you may not want to always do a smoky eye look, and he want to be like Natasha Denona with the Xenon palette, where it's like it's all smoke and you can't get anything else from the palette. So I feel like he just made like the day to night collection, like what is it, Ulta Beauty did, but he just put it in one palette. Cause see, you got your like little day situation right here that you can wear, and then you got your night like smoky situation that you can wear right here to make a nice eye look at. So I see the vision behind it. It's just not necessarily my vision. Plus, I mean, I like his formula, okay, but it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's a very simplistic formula, and it doesn't, like, you know, wow me in any way when I'm using the product. I mean, I like the eye looking in, but it's just not a wow factor for me when it comes to using his eyeshadows. Next, we have the El Barrio palette from Terra Moon's Cosmetics. I love the color story of this. I wish they would come out with more palettes. The second palette they came out with, though, I wasn't necessarily crazy about when I initially tried it. I have grown to like it, but it wasn't a love the way this one was. Like, when I first tried this one, I loved it. I absolutely thought it was wonderful. This one, to me, pairs really nicely with the, what's the name of that palette? The Superman palette from Adept. I forget the exact name of that palette. It's a 9-pan like this, but I feel like it pairs really nice with that one because the shimmers in there are really extra. So it's like you can have a metallic one like this as a base and then put the extra sparkly shimmer on top of it from Adept and get a really nice look. Plus, this gives you a deeper outer V shade. And if I remember correctly, that one has an outer V shade, but it's not as deep as I would like. So I could put like this blue or this green or this red and get more of a deep effect that I was looking for. So this is definitely a palette you can use on its own, but I feel like it's a great companion palette for the what I'm talking about from Adept. I swear I can't remember the name of it right now, y'all, but you know. Anyway, next we have the Ugly palette from Likely Makeup. They started off with blushes, and this was the first and only palette they made. And I like the color story of this. I thought it was a nice, unique palette. I wish they would come up with some more palettes because I really enjoyed the form of this. I really enjoyed the look I did. It was really nice, and it's definitely a unique palette to my collection when it comes to colorful palettes, which I feel like it's hard to say because I feel like a lot of times like people, you just go by the rainbow, and I feel like that one is somewhat rainbow-esque, but it still has its own unique little edge and spin to it. Next we have the Electrum Cosmetics palette. This is the Sea Witch, and I'm like, honey, the shimmers and sparkles in here told me everything I needed to know. Because I was looking at it thinking maybe I should get it, but then Dr. Ashley, her makeup, did a video on it, and I was like, say less, Ashley. Okay, I will buy it. I'm not going to ask questions, Ashley, girl. I'm just going to buy it. So then I ended up buying it based on her recommendation. Then I ended up buying another one based on her recommendation as well, and I have to do a video comparing it. So I did the initial video on its own, but I'm going to have to do a comparison of it another time. This one is just a really stunning palette. So if they still have this one available, I would definitely think you should check it out. If you're a blue, green, purple palette lover like myself, this is great. The mattes are really amazing and pigmented and blend out nicely. And the shimmers are out of this world. They are a little flaky though, some of them. So just keep that in mind. I have these 2 big ones from Dionluvsmakeup. I didn't get the new one yet. I want to get it, but I'm just like, I feel like I don't use the ones I have from her enough to like justify getting it. So that's why I keep holding off. But this is the Transcendent palette. So this is the one that I like the best when it comes to color story. However, I don't like these shades in the middle. So I'm so glad she stopped doing them the way she was doing them, because everybody's not liking them. Like these are those 2 flaky ones, and these are like ones you have to activate with water. And I personally don't like stuff like that. So that's why I wasn't a huge fan of it. But the palette itself is amazing. Like it has amazing shimmers and all that. It's just the middle row that is a dump for me. So, but I appreciate her, like, you know, listening to her followers, because the first one they said was like that. I didn't get my hands on the first one. I bought the miniature version of the first one. I'm kind of glad I did now having this one here, because the formula of this one I'm not a huge fan of. So I feel like I wouldn't like the formula of that one either. Why won't you go in the box? Then we have the one that came out last year in 2023. This is the I Am palette. Now, I like this one a whole lot better because I feel like like I said, just because she listened to us. Now, in all fairness, I feel like she had probably already started on the one that I have with those formulas in the middle, and then after hearing people say that, she had already had it in production and couldn't change it. But I like that they did like the kind of Oldenzaal method, or the Oldenzaal, I should say, because remember, in their like 6 pans, they have like one in this style in between, so that way you have a better amount, you have more shimmers for your price, I guess. And I like the way she color coded them too, because see, it's like these colors, and then like these colors, and then what's actually these colors probably, and then these colors, and then the green. So I like the way it's set up. I might actually have to say that this is my favorite one, but I really like the color story of the other palette better. I just hate those water activated things in the middle. Let's move on to my Dede Signature now. So this is the original set of palettes that made me fall in love with the brand, because she had like the fruit shaped ones, and I was like, those are cute, but I felt like they were gonna be really bulky and obnoxious. So that's personally why I didn't buy initially from the brand, because I was like, I don't want these big bulky ones. But once she came out with slimmer things, I was willing to try it. So I have 3 of the 4 here. I leave one at my grandmother's house to be able to reference this set, because I do like this set, and I like to recommend this set for people starting out with the brand. Now, I don't know if she changed the formula of these, but I know moving forward from Jingle Bell Ruby on, I believe they say the matte formula has changed. But this is the caramel skewer. It's a great color story. I think it's really nice. It gives you a nice like little warm tone side and a cool tone side. And I always feel like her multi-chrome and dual chrome shimmers were always really nice, even from when she started out with these palettes, moving on to the ones that everyone knows now. But I really like that one. Then there's the exotic skewer. Of course, we know I love the exotic skewer. I mean, look at this color story. It is so unique and fun. You get the nice deeper tone shades to put on the outer V. Then you get some fun shades to go in the crease in the inner corner if you feel like it. And then you have these 2 shimmery lid shades or inner corner shades, whichever way you prefer. But I love the color story of that palette. It's insane. And then we have the Juicy Skewer palette. And I feel like people sleep on this. Like, this could be a Christmas palette, or this could be a year-round palette. So it's like when you cover this up, you can get an all red look for Christmas, and then during the rest of the year, if you want to have some fun pops, you can do like the pink and yellow look, or you can just do a pink and red look for Valentine's Day. So I feel like this is the most like versatile one when it comes to like if you do your makeup based upon holidays and certain things. This would be a good Valentine's Day and like Christmas holiday type palette. And then in the summertime, you can use the bright yellow and the other shades to get more fun colors. So that's my thoughts on it. Then of course, y'all know I have the collection with Makeup on Your Radar. Now, unfortunately, my Everessence palette, like one of my shades broken. As you can see, it's broken on the outside. I ended up dropping it in like the shade Shattered. So as you can see, this one is damn near gone completely. So I'm gonna have to buy another one of these when they come back in stock. And then this shade fell out, and this one, but I was able to press these back in. But too much of this fell out to where I couldn't do anything. And that was one of my favorites, because of course it shifts from blue to purple. So I will get my hands on another one eventually, but I'm just gonna hoard this one for right now. I need to get it though before they discontinue it, or maybe I'll just ask Makeup on Your Radar when it's supposed to be ending, because I'm like, I want to get another one before, you know, it's gone, to complete my collection. Then we have the Elegance one. Now, I don't think I'm showing these in the order that they came in the box when I initially did the video, so I'm sorry. I just threw them in the drawer. But I love the color story of this. I think this is absolutely stunning. I feel like it would go nicely with a lot of palettes in my collection. I feel like this is a good alternative to the Trio Chrome mini palette from Natasha Denona, because it gives you like the blues in there, but you also get some greens, and you get this really cool, unique, reflective shade. And I feel like you can do more looks with this one than you can personally do with that one. But that's just my personal opinion. And I think they have like this, well, no, I think the Natasha Denona, does the Natasha Denona ones have 5 or 6? I want to say they have 5 too. So to me, this is a good alternative to the Trio Chrome mini palette. Then we have this Extravagance palette. Now, to me, this was the most difficult one to think of like eye looks to do with, just because, I don't know, I think it's because of the pink and the red are throwing me off. But then I looked at it like, just use this as like a 3 shadow look right here, 1, 2, 3, and then you use this as a 2 shadow look right here, 1, 2, and then make it an eye look that way, because it was difficult for me to come up with looks as far as that goes. But I'm like, Then you could always just put the blue on the lower lash line and just use these two mattes and look maybe. I forgot exactly what I did in that video. That happened a little while ago, so don't quote me. I genuinely just don't remember. I'm sorry. Then we have this one, the Eloquence palette. And y'all know this is probably my favorite one. I feel like this is like the Scooby-Doo palette. The, you know, the blue and purple one they have, and they just added a pop of pink to it. So if you didn't get a chance to get your hands on this one, this might be a good alternative for you. It's also like a miniature version of the Twisted Tea Party from who are the name? Inslee Rain Cosmetics. You can use code DionLove15 and get a discount on your purchase from them if you're interested. But I do feel like this is a good alternative to that the Inslee Rain Cosmetics palette. Okay, so now I have quite a few Sigma palettes to show you. Okay, y'all, so on to Sigma. So we have the Corderosa palette. This was the first one I bought. Shout out to my girl Karen Harris. She's the reason I ended up buying this palette, because she's raving about the quality of Sigma palettes and how nice they were. And fun fact, Karen got on their PR list because the brand saw, like the brand owner, I think, or the co-founder or something, saw Karen using this palette in a video, and that's how she got on the Sigma PR list. So brands do be watching you. Just keep that in mind. They do be watching. But that's how I ended up buying this palette, because Karen was talking about how nice it was. Y'all know I'm not really a warm tone person, but I did want to try Sigma's formula, and y'all know they always have really great sales. So I got it on a really great sale, and I actually really liked the quality of the formula. I know some people say they don't necessarily like Sigma's formula. I personally don't have an issue with Sigma's formula, and I do have a code with Sigma for anyone who is interested. I am one of their affiliates, so if you use code Gelbeauty, they took off the 87. It's just Gelbeauty. You can get a discount on stuff you purchase from Sigma. Next is New Mod. I feel like y'all should know this is one of my personal favorites. When you see the inside, yes, honey, she's giving mauve, 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 and I love it. So this is one of my favorite neutral mauve tone palettes when it comes to palettes I reach for. Easily this one. As you can see, I love the shade right here, Artsy. I have used it quite a bit. I like the shade Avant-Garde as well, and this shade. So like this is like usually my go-to quad right here when I'm doing a look with this palette, just because those are the tones I really love out of it. I think it's really nice. I don't really reach for this side too much unless I want a transition shade. I might do this one, but I usually just like to use that as a transition shade because I like a nice, good mauve tone moment when I'm going for a more neutral look. I also love the fact that they put brushes in here, because it's like you're known for making brushes. So like with other brands, when they do it, I'm like, to me it doesn't make sense. For me with Sigma, it makes sense. It's like you're a brush brand. It would make sense for you to give me a brush. So that's what I love about it. And they even did the ABH like velvety packaging and whatnot. So I was like, okay, I see you. Next, we have the Cool Truth palette. Now, I do have palettes that came out in between these, but I leave some at my grandmother's house. Sorry, at my house. Like, my grandmother hasn't been alive since 2021. But to able to give you all things to compare to it and whatnot. So this is what it looks like. I feel like it's like a warm tone and cool tone combination palette, or more like neutral and cool tone, because as you can see, it has like more of the deeper mauve-ish tone type cool tones on this side, and then the more neutrally is warm tone side on this one. I know Angie said when they went to the dinner, the owner was saying how she was kind of scared of cool tones, so that's why she kind of made this cool tone palette more of like a cool neutrals palette, so that way you have this nice neutral section over here, and then you have cool tones that people, I guess, are more familiar with, or that they feel more comfortable with using. See, because you got a nice little 4 quad moment here, a nice quad moment here, and you got a nice little just neutral 6 pan here for people who, you know, are scared of neutrals but still want to, of cool tones but still want to try some cool tones. I feel like this might be a good palette for you, because you have those warmer tones in there, or those neutrally warm tones in there that you're used to using, and then you can still dabble in some cool tones. So that's one I would recommend for new people trying out makeup. Maybe you should try that one out. Next, we have all my Disney palettes. So this is the Cinderella one. I believe this is the first one I bought. I think this was the first one they came out with. Yeah, so this is what it looks like on the inside. It's giving a more blue purple vibes, which we know I love, and then give you a nice little neutral moment over here. So it's a nice little palette. I had some more Cinderella some more Disney ones they came out with later that I like better, but you know, this one's nice. Then we have Alice in Wonderland. Fun fact, Alice in Wonderland is one of my favorite Disney movies. And I've always been confused. Is Alice supposed to be like a princess? Because remember at the end of the movie when it's over, they're walking toward the castle. So that's why I always wondered, like, is Alice a princess or not? I've just always been confused about that. likes, and someone comment down below and let me know. Now, this color story, again, is giving more of that warm, cool tone look. So I feel like they usually just stick to like warm, cool tone vibes and palettes. So you have the nice little warm tone section here, and then we slowly start dragging to the cool tones over here. But I like this color story okay. I just like more of the theme, if anything else. Then, of course, they had to do Beauty and the Beast. So, this one, to me, is probably, like, the most boring one. But it's because, obviously, the Beast is brown. So, I gave them an excuse to use a whole bunch of neutral tones. And then you got this little rosy quad over here for when Beryl has on the the burgundy outfit when they're outside playing in the snow. I feel like that was the purpose of this one. I feel like they should have did a brighter gold, though, for her dress. Like this Enchantress color. I don't feel like it's personally bright enough. But I feel like this was supposed to be the one that shifted to, like, a lighter yellow gold and champagne, if I remember correctly. And that's supposed to make up for the fact that this one isn't. Because I feel like the Belle shade, they could have just made that, like, the bright yellow, like, trophy wife-ish color like her dress. So that's my only real complaint about this one. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of champagne-y and, like, super deep ones for the, like, Beast. But it's like they don't highlight the yellow dress that everybody knows from the ballroom scene. And I feel like that was a missed opportunity with this palette. But, to each his own. They did miss out on it in the one from, ColourPop. So if you want a more accurate one, you might want to look at the one from ColourPop that was in one of the earlier videos, because I think we're on video like number 5 now, and we got still 3 more to go. I know, it's insane. Last one I have, this one came out this year. It's the Little Mermaid palette. Now this one I was upset with, because it's like, where's my brush? You see, like how all the other ones were longer. I'm upset because I where's my brush, Sigma? You are known for brushes. There's always a brush on my palette. Where's my brush? This one gives me similar vibes to the Alice in Wonderland one, but I feel like they stepped up the shimmers in this one more than the one in Alice in Wonderland. So I would definitely pair this with the Alice in Wonderland one in the future, because Alice in Wonderland gives you some unique shimmers. I mean, some unique mattes that you can put with the shimmers in here. Like, I would definitely try to put this matte with some of the shimmers over here, and I'll put some of these more mauve-ish berry tone shades with like the purples in this palette, and it makes a nice look. So I feel like these could be used in conjunction with each other, but I'm just mainly concerned about the brush. Like, seriously, y'all, where's the brush? And the first thing when I posted and told people about, some people were like, what about where's the brush? And I'm like, thank you, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I'm telling y'all, like, the anger I felt when I looked and I didn't have a brush, I was like, who told them not to give me a brush? Y'all, I was pissed. Okay, so we on the last set of palettes now. It is from Fantasy Cosmetics. Hey, y'all, so we rounded it off with Fantasy Cosmetica. So, I guess I should somewhat put them in order. Okay, so the first one they had was this Druid palette. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Sorry, y'all. Every time I turn around and pick up another pile, the camera falls over and I have to adjust it. So that's why you might have been seeing it pointed at different angles each time I come back. Because I swear, literally when I turn around, like, the tripod just falls over. And I'm like, oh, you bitch. No, but I know everybody really loves this one. I thought it was a nice formula for a starter brand, but I wasn't necessarily like, oh my God, Over the Moon is the best palette ever when it came to the color story. I like some of her newer color stories, but it wasn't a bad color story. It was just, you know, because I have so many palettes from her now, it's not my favorite, but it was always a good formula from the start, if that makes sense. Next, we have the Bard palette. I think this is the second one she came out with. This is what it looks like. I wasn't a huge fan of this one when it initially came out, so I didn't buy it when it initially came out. I bought it later on when I think I got it for 20 or 30% off or something like that during the holidays to kind of add to my collection, because I do talk about the brand a lot. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is about this color story, but it just doesn't do it for me. And it's like, I don't know what I expected to do for me, but it's just not doing whatever I think it should. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of it. But I have it in my collection. It does a good job when I do make looks with it, and the quality is nice. It's kind of more like a just add to my collection because I speak about the brand a lot type of product. Next, we have the Sorcerer palette. Now, this was the first one I was like, okay, I'm feeling you. I really like the color story of this. Now, I know some people said they didn't like the formula of... No, it wasn't this one. Sorry, it's another one. I was about to say somebody, Angie said she didn't like the formula of this one, but it's not this one. It's the Warlock. Anyway, I like the formula of this. I like the color story of this. I don't like shades like this, though. She used to put like satinish shades in it that didn't give as much pigmentation, and then a lot of them be glimmering, sparkling. You have that one shade. I mean, I understand some people don't like always shimmery glittery, sparkly type shade. So I understand why she did that. I just wasn't a fan of shades like that. And I guess enough people said the same thing I did. So I noticed she hasn't done any of those in a while, which I'm grateful for. I mean, it could have been a simpler metallic as opposed to being like really sparkly, glittering extra like the rest of these shades are. And I'd have been fine with that. But because it was more of like that satiny, really thin, hardly any pigmentation type look, and it wasn't giving like iridescent on top of it, it was just giving, I don't know what exactly to call it. I guess it would be more like a simple satin with hardly any shimmer. I wasn't personally feeling it, but this was probably my favorite palette for a while, and it's still one of my top like 5 favorite palettes from the brand. Next, we have the Rogue palette. And this is another one of my favorite ones. I feel like this was a great color story that she came out with. I love all the shimmers in here. I love all the mattes in here. I feel like this one was done very well, and I like the way the color story was executed and like the formula of it. So another top favorite of mine. I think this one came out next. Yeah, the Warlock palette. This is the one where people said they didn't feel like the formula on this was as good as her other formula. I personally didn't have an issue with it and see any difference with the quality of this palette versus other ones. If anything, maybe the mattes weren't as powdery when you went to go pick them up in the pan. Like there's usually a little bit of kick up, and I feel like there wasn't as much kick up in here, but I didn't think that made the formula any less. Some people said they didn't like the shimmer formula as much, and the mattes, I felt like it was fine. That's just my personal opinion, though. I don't try to change anybody else's opinion. I can only give you mine, and that was mine. So this is actually one of my favorites too. I feel like it's good for like holidays when you like want to do a jewel tone look, or if you just like jewel tone looks. I like to put this with the Moonfall from Shoutout Cosmetics. I feel like they make a great set of palettes to use together, and I'm happy I have this one in my collection. Again, another top 5 palette. Next, we have the Wizard palette. Now, the Wizard palette came out before the last one I bought this year, which was Cradled in Ice. I'm pretty sure Wizard Cradled in Ice, the collab she did with Makeup Just for Fun, and then the holiday one that I should have a dupe video coming up on soon. But this is the Wizard palette, and this is the first time she used a holographic shimmer, a holochrome, as they call it. I really liked the holochrome. I thought it was nice. It gives like a wet, slick type look on the lid. It was really unique and cool, though. I liked that. And y'all know I love a blue moment. Plus, I like that she chose to do a pop of yellow as opposed to just doing like, you know, blue and purple, or playing it safe with one of the traditional colors I feel like people usually put with blue, or just making a blue monochromatic palette. So I appreciated that. I really liked it. My only thing was she came out with this, but then she came out with this Cradled in Ice afterwards, and I was like, I feel like these are just really similar when it comes to like having blues, and it's just like she added mauves instead of yellows to it. And then I was like, well, how much blue are we gonna do? Not that I'm complaining, but it's like some people who don't like blue that much might not be into it. So as you can see, like this has some blues, and then that has some blues, and the only difference is this is more mauve toned, and there was these couple pops of yellow in here. So I feel like they was a little too close together of similar tones. That was just my opinion, but you know, with the information what you will. Both quality of both palettes is nice. It was just, I was like, 2 blue palettes in 1 year is kind of close, and I feel like other people were saying the same thing, but it wasn't because of the quality I was saying. I was just saying because, you know, like some people may not like purple, and then you coming out with back-to-back purple palettes that might alienate some of the consumers that you looking to purchase from you. That was my only thought process behind saying what I just said about it, because otherwise it was fine. Anyway, those are all the palettes we're going to talk about today. I will catch up with you all next week for the grand finale here at my house. And then I have a really long one coming at my grandmother's house. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. Make sure you subscribe. My membership is down below if you like more vlogs, home organization, home decor and candle content, cooking content, and couponing. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.
Fun doesn't have to stop here. Let's be fun over on Instagram to check out the latest fashion, fragrance, palette comparisons, along with little glimpses into my life. Make sure you head on over to Instagram. I hope you have a great day, and I can't wait to see you over there. Make sure you give me a follow.